So now that we've talked a little bit about what reverse ETL is, let's talk a little bit about the why. Why would you want to use reverse ETL? And I'm going to start by talking about 3 common platforms, maybe applications, that you are familiar with. At least one of them your company probably uses, and maybe all 3. So I'll mention Salesforce, Zendesk, and MailChimp. If you're not familiar with those, Salesforce is a CRM platform, Zendesk is typically used to manage tickets, and MailChimp is used to market to folks and customers or prospects. So those 3 platforms, very common platforms that you may want to integrate with and maybe you want to pull data into. Now the issue with those 3 and others, and I come from a healthcare background where this is a problem, is that those platforms can prevent this idea or concept that I call the myth of the one source of truth. And why I call it a myth is that it's very rare that you'll be able to get all of that data into one platform that you can use, where you have common terminology, a common understanding of what all of the different variables mean, what all the data elements mean, in a way that can be used across your entire organization. More often than not, the folks that you work with are going back to those individual platforms like Salesforce or Zendesk or MailChimp and running their own analytics, their own reports out of those platforms rather than the data warehouse. And that's a problem that we have in healthcare. We have electronic medical record, we have our timekeeping system, our payroll system, our accounting system, and a litany of other systems that people can go into. And for the most part, I really can't control whether that user runs a report or not. Some systems I can partition roles, but in other cases they're free to run whatever they want on whatever time frame they want, and those answers could differ from what's in the data warehouse. So that's why I call it a myth. And so all I'm offering here is the ability to try and get to some sense of truth.
Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
Now, just like Morpheus is offering, how do we get there? All I can do is offer you the truth, even if it's the truth you don't like, right? And that's really the challenge. So that process is going to take you into running different tasks. Because if I have to go to Salesforce or Zendesk or MailChimp to run any of this information, then it removes me from the task that I'm trying to do. In essence, it's sort of distracting, like somebody coming up to me and telling me that I have to put a cover sheet on a TPS report.
Hello, Peter. What's happening? We have sort of a problem here. Yeah, you apparently didn't put one of the new cover sheets on your TPS reports.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, it's redundant. You're telling me over and over again, and it is totally distracting. The other issue is that if I go into a platform like Looker or Tableau, or what I mentioned in the first video, it was talking about Power BI and this amazing thing that Parker Stevens did to be able to formulate, to construct his data using Power Query and put it in a format that makes sense. That's what Power Query is really good at doing. And then moving that back into the transactional platform or the operational platform. But that is all kind of a really big headache.
Is he a basketball coach?
No.
What's the matter?
I have a headache.
It might be a tumor.
It's not a tumor.
Now, I don't want to give anybody cancer here, but the problem is that if I need an analyst to be able to move all of that data back into a platform and make it usable, it really isn't automated, it's not seamless, and it requires putting things in context. And if I'm taking you out of that context by putting you in Power BI or Tableau rather than the application you're used to working in, again, it's distracting and you lose the ability to understand what's going on with your data, your customers, and your prospects when you're doing your marketing automation. So that context, imagine, for example, if you were trying to watch a Star Wars movie out of context.
Hello there.
Oh, muy, I love you.
I know.
Are you an angel?
What?
Good relations with the Wookiees I have.
I just assumed he's a Wookiee.
I can arrange that.
I'm going to regret this.
I'm so confused.
Now, you've seen all the movies, so it probably makes sense where the scenes fit together, but it gives you that kind of frightful headache, confused sort of sense. You lose what it means to be collecting and looking at that data within the context of an individual customer or prospect. And the analytics can be very complicated to build. That's the reason why you have to hire somebody to do that kind of work for you. And then making the decisions. When you are pulling that data and it's out of context, it's challenging to make the right decision and understand exactly where that data fits into the grand scheme of things. So here's some use cases I'm going to share with you, and I'm going to base them on what I've sort of talked about. We'll start with Salesforce first. And I'm going to tell a little bit of a story of my time when I was selling, when I was working for Data Robot. And I was using Salesforce every single day. And one of the things that I had to do was to go into our different platforms that tracked customer usage, product usage. Now, I was selling a cloud-based machine learning and AI platform. And so one of the things I went to is the reporting and analytics and tracking server for our customer usage. And I ran reports on how many users logged in, how long did they use the platform, how many machine learning models did they build, how many of them did they deploy and hit the production API, how many records were they sending back and forth. Sort of getting to like how sticky is the platform? Are they really using it frequently? Are they deploying a model and then washing their hands of it and done? But I would go and I would run that report on the server, basically cut and paste the data. So I'm a master of Control-C and Control-V, and then taking that data and putting it back into Salesforce. And I would have to do that for every single customer. And then anyone that was a prospect, and a prospect is somebody I haven't sold to yet, but maybe I've given them a trial version of our platform. So I have to go out and pull data for them as well. And a lot of times that data is sitting on more than one platform. And now I'm out of context. I don't really know like what does this company has an ambiguous name. What do they do? Are they in healthcare? Are they in manufacturing? And so I got to get pulled back into Salesforce and then look at everything again. This was a significant chunk of my time throughout every week to be able to go and keep that data up to date. So that gives you sort of an example from the Salesforce space. Another one is Zendesk. So Zendesk is, for me at least, my usage of it has always been in IT, tracking open tickets, support tickets. You can also use it to do some project management. And there, maybe I want to use it to route the priority of tickets that come through and have a sort of similar functionality where I can look at, is this somebody who's a VIP? Do I need to move their tickets through faster? Is this a ticket related to something that we've already been working on? Is it a project rather than a ticket? So there's a number of different things I can do to surface sort of a complete view of where that ticket's coming from and what it's related to. And that could be useful within the ticketing system as well. And then the last one I mentioned was MailChimp. And this is marketing automation. I'm going to touch on automation a little bit deeper here in a minute. But here, just a lot of people who don't know healthcare that well think we don't do any marketing in healthcare. And I work for a for-profit healthcare company. We do a ton of marketing and outreach. We're trying to acquire patients as if they were customers. And we could use that synonymously when I'm talking to people who are not in the healthcare space. So I want to automate the way that I reach out to people, especially if we're launching a new clinical program or a new treatment program. Something like behavioral health, mental health, substance abuse treatment. Those are new programs that we're launching. I want to automate the process of reaching out to those particular groups of people and advertising the services that we have to offer. Now think about that. I'm connecting to our medical record, cloud-based, and then connecting to our CRM, something like Salesforce, pulling that data, jumbling it around and getting it into an analytical format, and then putting it back into something like MailChimp, right? Think about that. Going to like two different places to pull the data and then sticking it back in. This is really, that is the core of what that reverse ETL process looks like. It's actually the forward ETL and then the reverse ETL to get it back in. So that comes to the automation component. So I'm not talking about marketing automation here, but I'm talking about things like RPA, Robotic Process Automation. And if that term is new to you, if you haven't heard that before, I want to show you what physical automation looks like.
Block after block, it's hard to believe this one-armed robot is building a house. The 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom home are world first in High Wycombe. The structure complete in just 33 hours.
Okay, so that's the physical world, right? Actually having a robot build a house. It reminds me of a scene from the Will Smith movie I, Robot, where there's a destructor bot that is scheduled to tear down in the house while he's still in it. And the evil robot planned for the house to be torn down while he was there, right? Hopefully this robot is a little bit smarter than that. But that physical automation of being able to cut the brick precisely to spec and lay it on there and put the mortar in, that physical automation is what we're trying to do in the digital world, is to automate a task that normally a human could do, especially a simple task like my cut and paste problem. Now, the issue with a lot of the RPA tools, and I've used several of them, most recently I've used UiPath, the biggest problem is that they require skill. They require an analyst or some programmer or developer who knows how to use those. Again, in the reverse ETL space, I'm trying to make this process work with somebody who might not have that level of skill, automate it and schedule it so it happens on a recurring basis. So now you have the full view of the why behind the reverse ETL. I want to be done talking. Let's go in and actually start building a reverse ETL process.